This is your day to shine. And I'm doing that with my favorite person. Nancy and I are in an undisclosed location, but she'll tell you more about what we just saw. Um, we're walking through Philippians and going to talk about a couple verses towards the end of the fourth chapter, about halfway through, I think, starting in verse 10, where Paul says, I rejoice greatly that you were able to renew your concern for me. He's got kind of a delicate task here. The people at Philippi have been helping to support the ministry. Paul works as a tent maker. In the ancient world, there was this big hierarchy where if you're rich, you're on top. If you're below that, you are indebted. People would suck up to the wealthy. They're the ones that have the power. So Paul wants to both thank the Philippians for their contributing to the mission of the church, but also let them know this is not like the Greco-Roman world where it's all about getting people in your debt, making them do what you want to do. In the Christian church, there was this new system where everybody was grateful to God and on an equal level with each other. So he's kind of threading the needle on that one. I rejoice greatly that you renewed your concern for me. Not that I needed it. And then he goes through this amazing passage. I've learned the secret of being content. Whether I have a lot, whether I don't have much, when I am in need, when I abound. So that contentment doesn't come through circumstances when I finally get everything that I want, which is, well, a lot of real bright people try to get us to believe. But it's something that we learn. It's a secret that we learn. And I'll get more to what that secret is, but I will turn it over to you right now to say whatever it is that you want to say.
Which is a little off of what you just said.
Oh, sorry.
But it's not the first time. Oh, no, I'm sure it's not your fault. We just came back from a morning visit to the northwesternmost point on the African continent. It's called Cape Spertel. And there's a lighthouse there that's been there for a very long time. And the history of the lighthouse that we visited just had some interesting narration on it. Talks about the lighthouse keeper who's responsible for maintaining the lighthouse and is continually scanning the horizon to ensure the safety for all ships. And then they put this in here, regardless of their nationality. Not taking into account who belongs to who, but that safety upon the sea is of such paramount importance that the lighthouse keeper, to great detriment to themselves, finds themselves being content in a situation most people wouldn't be for the sake of safety on the sea. And then it talks about that the profession of lighthouse keeper is challenging, and they call them the watcher of the infinite. And that sentence, John and I talked about almost the whole way back from the Cape, that it is by not having your eyes necessarily on your circumstances, but scanning the horizon for God and the light that is on the horizon that allows you to be, to hold the infinite in the center of who you are. And I think that's a huge part of what it means to be content. When we talked about this passage, I told John that for me, contentment is something that I am constantly trying to find my way back to all the time, 76 times a day, and that's on a good day.
And that's just with your marriage.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but since you brought it up, that contentment, I find it elusive. I find that when I find it, it feels like a table of solid polished concrete with a square hole in it, and I have a square log, and I have to keep moving it around until, oh, there it goes. It's settled, it's held, and then it's out again.
I was thinking when Paul is writing that, he talks about, I've learned to be content when I'm in need, and I've learned to be content when I abound. And we would think, well, when you abound and you can get lots of stuff, then it's easy to be content. But of course, when we look at people or just look at ourselves, when I keep getting more and more and more of what I want, it doesn't necessarily make me more content, because there's always somebody out there who's got more than I do.
And even if that does make you content, it's so precarious. It can be taken away at any time, and you just have to scan the horizon to see it happening to other people. It is a very false sense of contentedness.
And I was thinking too, it's interesting that what Paul says is not, I've learned to feel content, but I've learned to be content. And I was thinking, in my situation, I've never known the kind of hardships that he did. I haven't been beaten or shipwrecked or locked up in prison, haven't known that kind of poverty or hunger. So there are many ways in which there's a depth of experience that he had, that many followers of Jesus had and have right now, that I do not have and will probably never know. But there certainly have been seasons in life that are painful, where the pain can be pretty deep, although it's been more emotional than it has physical or financial. And to come to learn, and the secret that Paul says is, actually, it's not about the situation. It's I can face anything I have to face through Christ, and that he is the light of the world. He is the hope of the world. He is the one who's ultimately watching the infinite, watching us all. And that if I can find my way back to him,
Yes.
Even though I might feel more pain, I'm able to find kind of solid ground to stand on and say, it's okay because my life has meaning, my life has purpose. In some ways, it's a little easier sometimes to be clearer about the purpose and meaning, possibility of meaning in life in times of suffering than it is when things are abounding and I could just get more and more. So that secret of I can do it through him, with him, when I'm watching him, when I'm thinking about him and thinking, just like he's watching the infinite, in my own little way, I can be a keeper of the lighthouse and keep scanning to see, is there somebody that I could help? Is there something I could do? Is there a word that I could say? Is there anybody who's in darkness right now that I might be able to help a little bit? And actually, being content comes much more from finding meaning in those circumstances than from finding what I want.
And I think it's even more than God is the keeper of the infinite. He is the infinite. And being in this place today at the Cape, this very liminal space, to think for thousands of years, people at great sacrifice to themselves have stood watch on the corner of the continent to scan the horizon and to ensure safety. And that is a picture of the love of God and an infinity and an infinite that we can trust at the core of contentedness.
Yeah, we were right at the spot too where the Atlantic turns into the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And so that's a key place of passage and also vulnerability. And we're just talking about those boundary places, those liminal spaces where there's unknown uncertainty and you're in between this and that and in transition, often are ways that we find God kind of uniquely.
Yep. And it was fun to see the signs pointing different directions, Mediterranean and Atlantic, and to see school children just climbing all over the signs and getting their picture taken. There's something about those liminal spaces that give us a glimpse of the infinite where we can find our way back to contentedness.
So you might think whatever you're going through today, are my eyes on the finite? How much money do I have? How is my health? What's my job looking like? How's my reputation doing? Are my eyes on the finite or are they on the infinite? Paul says when he writes to the church in Corinth, 2 Corinthians, therefore we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporal, but what is unseen is eternal, is infinite. And that's people, and that's God, and that's love, and that's joy. So the invitation today is be a watcher of the infinite. Keep your eyes on the eternal and shine.
And you won't last all day. The fight back and forth is the journey.
Hey, thanks for tuning in here at Become New. I'm Tim, part of the team, and my question for you today after taking that episode in with John and Nancy is, what is your relationship with contentment like? I liked how John cited that Paul doesn't say that he's learned to feel content, but to be content. And that's just made me think about, because I know for me, I can be a pretty restless person. And I know that there's a good quality to having drive. I mean, I think the Apostle Paul was someone who had a lot of drive, accomplished more for the early church than probably anybody else. And so what are your thoughts? We want to know what your takeaway is, what you're wrestling with, or what God is speaking to your heart about when it comes to contentment and learning to be content. What is God inviting you into today? What are you wrestling with? What are you thinking about? Put it in the comments so that we can learn alongside you. Also, we would love to pray for you, and that's a serious invitation. If you've got a prayer request, I hope that you'll put it in the comments, or you'll text it to us or email it to us. Our contact's in the show notes, because there's a group of us that would love to earnestly pray for you. You want more information from Become New? Subscribe to this channel or head over to becomenew.com. We'll catch you next time.